No, I'm
Okay.
usually pretty good to go. I'm go with the
Okay.
flow kind of girl. So
All right.
yeah.
Let's do it. Let's hop in. It's wonderful to
Yeah.
meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you too. You too.
So let's begin our journey with this. I always start with this question.
Yeah.
6 years ago, this pandemic changed our lives so much.
Mm,
Proverbial fork in the road. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
you got it. You got it. It was huge, big change. I sometimes don't like to mention it because it's like everyone says, because of COVID. But it really shaped the whole trajectory of my life. I was a principal in a school, and now I'm running my own business online because of that. So I was very, uh, interested in living a different type of life. Yet I felt I couldn't do it without being in person with kids. And I realized through COVID, being on Zoom with kids and teachers, I could, I could pick up their emotions. I can tell what they were feeling and thinking and work with them just as well as I could in person. And so that really opened up the door for me to completely think a different way, become an entrepreneur, and take all my skills and experience from the past 20 years and build something that works for me and for families. So, frankly, logistically, it was key. Key. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get into the work that you're doing right now. I'm going to put you in front
Yeah.
of 12-year-olds. You're at career day, and
Mm.
one of the kids wants you to synthesize what you do for your day job that makes sense to their brains. How do you explain it?
Hmm. Yeah. So for them, it's basically helping them to remove resistance. So if they feel they're frustrated or stubborn or angry or upset or all these emotions, and most 12-year-olds have big emotions and haven't learned how to handle them yet, right? So I help them handle those emotions better. They feel them, yet not don't stay in them as long and don't let them get in the way as much. And in addition to that, it's a lot of well, what do you want to do as a 12-year-old? What are your goals? Do you want to build better relationships? Do you want to make the soccer team? Whatever their goals are, in addition to that emotional piece. And I do a lot with mindset, with confidence. I have a lot of athletes. So to them, it would be, what are your goals? Where do you want to go next? What identity do you want to shift in? And I'm the one that supports you through shifting into the next better version of you. And most of my kids, I would tell them, you're amazing as is. Yeah, I know you want to get to that next level, and let's do that together.
So, what did you want to be at that age? When you were 12 years old, what was your dream job?
Oh, like baseball player.
Okay.
So nothing to do with one, I'm not male, so it doesn't exist. But yeah, I was a big athlete. So I was just, that was what I knew. That's what I did 24/7 outside of school was play sports. And so I loved being on teams. I loved all that. And but in a little bit younger than that, I did want to do teaching. I was in third grade and I thought about teaching. And then when I got to high school, college, I started going in the direction of art history and art, which was awesome. And then I ended up back with history, but teaching it. So at that, I guess the overarching theme outside of the dream of being a baseball player was to help other people. And yeah, so that's a big rock for me.
So, take me back to your childhood. Where were you born and raised?
Connecticut.
Okay.
Yep.
What were the
Hmm.
seeds that were planted that was sports, education, entrepreneur, helping
Mm.
people, mental fitness? How did all this happen and become you?
Yeah, so none of that was really planted within me per se. Sports was big. My dad got me into sports early, just in the yard. And then middle school and high school, I was joining all the teams. I was a dancer prior to sports. So in elementary, for about a decade, I was a dancer. So it was always an extracurricular movement type activity. That was important. School was always important. It was like you have to get good grades, period. There wasn't like really any question there. But as far as like mindset and all that, that is something I picked up later in life as a 30 and 40-year-old. So I think that's why I do what I do because I struggled with managing emotions and like the maturity of emotional intelligence in general. Had fantastic parents, yet that wasn't their realm either. And it would be argue and then make up, argue and then make up, argue. So I just don't think mindset was a word back then. It wasn't a thing. So as I began to work on myself and my emotions and all the other areas of my life during COVID, as we spoke about earlier, I was like, well, what wouldn't this be great to tell 14-year-olds what I'm learning at 40? And then it kind of like put the pieces together. Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about inspirations, heroes, people that have inspired you to become who you are. You've navigated through different realms up to this point. Who has that been for you?
Um, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of people that have come through my path that have really informed who I am today, good, bad, and otherwise. I'm glad I had that experience because I know I don't want to go in that direction kind of people. Um, I think underneath it all, like I think, like I said earlier, mindset wasn't a thing, emotions weren't discussed, but I feel like one of the people that I've always looked up to is my grandfather, and he, for the very reason of I never heard him say a negative thing. So he again didn't know these tools that I'm talking about and strategies, yet he just had that attitude and that way about him. He was an entrepreneur and had ran his own business and just always had a big heart, but never, never, ever, ever was he complaining about work. Was he upset? He loved what he did every day. So I think subconsciously that was part of me. I didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be an entrepreneur because my grandfather was. But I think when I reflect upon my journey, I start to realize like, oh, there's a lot of him in me. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. If you could meet anybody on the planet right now that have epitomized levels of elite mental performance that you could talk to, have a lunch with, that might help you on your journey with what you're doing, who would you love to meet and talk to?
Super easy one. And this may or may not be what you're thinking of, but Jesus.
Okay.
I literally am, I love, comedians and famous people and it's great. Pop culture is wonderful. But I think I have had a lot of coaches and spiritual leaders and all these kind of things. I've gone down the new age route and all these other routes, and find all of those things valuable. I meditate on a daily basis. Yet what has really brought me the most clarity and certainty and groundedness has been the Bible and Jesus. And I've just, kind of last few years stepped back into my faith and been able to point out certain, scriptures where he's literally said things that I'm actually practicing with my kids and my families. So that would be the person. I would have no doubt.
So the one thing about a spiritual journey is that you have these indelible moments where you're confirmed that there's a creator, there's a God.
Mhm.
And sometimes I know coming from the Midwest, like being in the Bible Belt, everybody is kind of growing up with it and they get kind of baptized in the experience, but they don't live it themselves. And we all
Mhm.
have to experience it on our own. What was the
Mhm.
first experience for you where you, aside from any other influences, you felt it on your own and you were confirmed that there was
Mhm.
a spiritual entity, there was a God that exists?
Yeah, so as a kid, I grew up Roman Catholic. I always went to church, knew about it, did all the sacraments, believed in it. But I don't think I really had my own belief. It was we all did that as a family, and I'm grateful for that I have that groundedness and that beginning. Yet, as an adult, you kind of go astray. I wasn't doing church or anything like that. And then I would say maybe like a couple years ago, I was in a coaching program, and the head coach of the whole program, is a year-long program, started to find his faith, and I was like, wow, he kind of like starts to be talking about God a lot. Like, what is going on? And it wasn't as if I was listening to him and that's what happened, but I think it kind of like came up into my experience. So I went back to church and then for a little while, and then I stopped, and then I went back again, and I recently, like maybe the last year or so, and I don't know that it was like a defining moment that some divine intervention happened. I just think I completely surrendered to the fact of like, I don't have control over any of this. I am, you know, taking these risks and making these decisions to the best of my ability, falling on my face and being very successful at the same time. And I kind of went from a stressed out overachiever, do all the things, work 20 hours a day and all these, to a like, I'm gonna work hard, but I'm gonna pause and gonna listen, and what direction should I take, and really reach out to that higher power and just have that faith and trust and know that it's going to work out how it's meant to be.
So, what is the energy every day for you to do the work that you do? You have to get involved with humans that can be a murky world. There's a lot of things going on. You have to stay grounded. You have a soul, family, all of those
Sure.
things. What is that collective energy for you to do this at a high level every day?
Yeah, I think my routine, it used to be really hardcore with my routine. Wake up 5 in the morning, go to school, get back at 10 p.m., do all the things. And I realized like I wake up, I do all for me, slow mornings. There's movement, there's working out, there's meditation, there's praying, there's reading, and a thing that I actually encourage most of my kids to do is, a lot of times you get your routine doesn't have to be the same every day. It needs to include movement. It needs to include, some mindset strategies and so on and so forth. But if you like journaling, you journal. If you like voice notes, you do voice notes. So I do a combination of all the things that on a different, kind of slightly different on a daily basis. And yeah, I just really protect my energy. So I am choosy about who I allow in my world as far as coaching is concerned. The families that I work with are really aligned with me. And I do kind of do the same thing. I mean, I have family and friends, and if it's not serving me, I'm very quick to cut the cord. Because as you said, like the reason why I maybe was faltering more as a principal wasn't because I wasn't good at what I did. It was because I didn't have any energy left to show up how I wanted to show up. And so I'm very, very protective of my time. And I like to do what I like to do because I know I'm going to show up well for those families and those kids. And that's my main goal here.
So, let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You walk
Hmm.
into a room, there's a film projector, you click play, and a 60-second highlight reel of your life comes up. Is
Mm.
that young version of you going to believe your life turned out this way?
Yeah, I think maybe the whole teaching part of it, but I think, but not the level of calm and contentness and like internal peace that I feel. That, no way. I was a hot mess. In half of it's being a girl and having your period and being a teenager, but there's way more to it than that because I work with a lot of girls, and they can implement strategies and things and handle that. So no, I was kind of like off the rails underneath it all. On the outside, good grades, sports, great family, good friend, all the things. But no, the 18-year-old version of me, I mean, I didn't know what like recognizing my patterns was. And so once you recognize your patterns, that you have power. So I guess it was from kind of a powerless state to a very powerful state is the transition or the transformation for me.
So, what is the highlight? What are you the proudest of in that highlight reel?
Um, yeah, I think mastering myself and really having that self-awareness, and yeah, being authentic, really stepping into a powerful identity. So I think going from someone who wasn't and who pleased people a lot and did what made other people feel happy to still, caring about others, yet putting myself first. Yeah.
So, I got to know, I'm going to tap into that sports baseball part of you. What's the greatest game that you've ever witnessed in person? And what would be the dream
Mm.
time machine game that you would go to and watch?
Baseball wise, you're
Or
saying
even
specific?
sports. It could be sports, it could be any sport.
Mm. Oh, well, I guess the one person I never got to see play would be Michael Jordan. That was me and my dad had plans at one point, go to Chicago, and it just didn't work out. So I did see, like I was a big Yankee fan, and we did Don Mattingly, and we kind of saw all the things. I caught a ball at one of the stadiums, so a lot of good memories. But I think the one thing we might have missed out on was Jordan for sure. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you in all these different bubbles of your world. But you
Mm,
run the show. What's your
mm.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, I think I'm, a very energetic, vibrant person, easy to connect with, very non-judgmental. Doesn't mean I don't care, doesn't mean anything goes. Just kind of in the mindset of I know what makes me happy. If that makes you happy and I'm not interested in that, go do you. But I've learned to become very unattached to others in a good way. I care deeply. I build great connections with other people. And I have like a healthy sense of, boundaries and expectations. So I think overall, I'm an awesome person to have on your team per se in some way or another. And yeah, I have a lot to offer. And if you like it and you want to connect, great. If not, have a nice one.
So that's the perfect segue here. The House of Rise. If people have questions, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, social media. Just follow me, Instagram or Facebook. I put up a lot of valuable content for families. I have a YouTube page as well. So, yeah, no pressure. It's just kind of get to know me and what I do and my vibe. And if you like it, message me.
Okay.
Period.
Excellent. I will put links in the show notes. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well.
You bet. So